Good afternoon, everybody. And today we will look at a new topic is strategic cost management. We will look at four type of or five actually, or not four actually. Total quality management. We will look at the just-in-time benchmarking and business process re-engineering. So the first thing we will start with the total quality management, or we will call it TQM. So this is a philosophy of the business, and this philosophy ranges from every single aspect of the business. It's not about only the customer satisfaction. Yes, indeed, the customer satisfaction is the key here to keep our customers satisfied and happy, so we can maintain the market share of the business. But also the total quality management is more about is a philosophy where they focus more about the quality. So the quality is the key here. And when I say about the quality, I'm talking about everything within the business. Customers, employees, suppliers, it's all aspects within the business. The total quality management, when it's being developed, based on the philosophy how to make the customer satisfied. Because remember, at the end of the day, the customer needs to be satisfied for the business to grow and for the business to develop further. So indeed, the customer satisfaction is the key here. And from this point, this total quality management has been developed and has been spread across the organization. So of course, one of the principles of total quality management to reduce or eliminate the waste. That's one of them. But we'll look at it now. So we'll look at the the 8 principles of total quality management. So can you see these are the total quality management 8 general principles. So as you see from the 8 here, they are vary and they are how can I say it's a full system, isn't it? It's a full system. As you see, it's customer satisfaction, one of them. If you look here, how can I train my employees? How can I develop them? Because at the end of the day, that's well, they will deliver the best customer satisfaction. In terms of strategic thinking, so the quality needs to be within the strategic thinking of the business. So when they put the strategic direction of the business for the next 5 years or 10 years or so on, so again they need to focus on quality. The quality needs to be there. Continuous improvement, we'll look at it. Kaizen, based on Kaizen, how to involve all the employees to make an effective decision. For example, we look at when we talked about Kaizen, we talked about Toyota and how they involve all their employees to come up with at least one Kaizen every month. So they need to identify the issues, and based on the issues they need to find the solution. In terms of effective communication skills, communications between all the departments, also the relationship could go between the management and the supplier. So again, all of that goes with all total quality management. So now, if you look here, you can see also total quality management has some limitations like any other system. And one of them is costly and timely, indeed. So when I say costly and timely, I mean it takes years really to implement within the business. and also in terms of money, it does cost money. A new system, when it comes to implement it within the organizations, so there is a resistance of change. I mean, employees can resist, management can resist, and that could be another limitation of total quality management. If I want to summarize all the 8 principles of total quality management, I would summarize them with 2 basic principles, which is the first one, getting things right first time on the basis that the cost of correcting mistakes is greater than the cost of preventing them. So can you see? Now, if something goes wrong, within the product, so the cost that I'm gonna put on it, for example, exchange, rework, a fault, external fault, maintenance, repair after, so that cost is greater than the cost of preventing them. So that means I need to put this principle in my head, or the organizations, because they need to focus more on how to prevent. They need to invest more in prevention cost other than in correcting the mistakes after. Also, another basic principle we need to look at is the continuous improvement, Kaizen. Always, as an organization, they believe that it's always possible to improve, no matter how high the quality may be already. I mean, you buy a product, and you say, oh wow, that's high quality product, wow. But always remember, for the business, quality has no limitations, no limited, so they have to develop every single year. Look, for example, at Apple iPhone. So every year, so you will have a new iPhone in September. You'll see, oh wow, what's that? It's amazing, isn't it? It's good quality, great. But again, for next year, they have to find something different. They need to make they need to develop it further in order to find something new than the previous one, and that what comes when equality there. So quality has to be in every single thing within the organization. When it comes to the exam, I might ask you how to apply total quality management philosophy within the business. I might ask you, okay, how to apply it within the banking sector, within food sector, within the retail sector. It depends. It depends. But you need to understand. You need to understand it. For example, here it's case study of Nissan. You know Nissan automobile company. It's in the UK, in Sunderland. They export across the Europe and the UK. When you look at this case study, you'll see that the total quality management here, they focus more on plan, do, check, action. Very simple. So they plan ahead, they do it, they check it, and they do action based on it. So this is the cycle of TQM, total quality management, for Nissan. And if you look at the total quality management, how they implemented within Nissan, you can see that these are the points they adopted within Nissan. For instance, identifying customers and their requirements. So we need to make the customers happy. As we mentioned, one of the principles there, customer satisfaction. How to keep the customers happy. What their requirement. Let meet them. Establishing and using objectives, targets for all areas of activities. So as I mentioned, so we need to make sure that there is a target for each activity, and we need to establish them using various objectives. So decisions should be based on researched right? It's not about, okay, let's meet, okay, let's plan ahead and find, you do this, you do this, you do this. No, we need really work hard and try to invest more in research and development, so our decisions are based in educated plan other than just any plan. Identifying and eliminating the root causes of problems, that's very, very important. Any organization, especially when it comes to supply chain, that there are really problems, and we as a quality management or total quality management, they try to eliminate this problem. What are the roots of these problems, and try to rid of it in order to achieve a good quality, and not really finding the same cause of problems every time. Educating the employees and training them, that's another point. If you go back again, the principles, that's one of them. You go and train and educate, train the employees and develop them. So as you see, what you can see, that total quality management is applied within the organization in every aspect within the organization there. But now the question you are going to ask me, I'm sure, right? Great. Sounds easy for you? No, not easy. I mean, when it comes to total quality management, it's not cheap. It's costly. It does cost a lot of money to the business, and that's why we call it require, of course, expenditure, isn't it? So we need expenditure for total quality management, yeah. So that's why we need to look at now at the cost of quality. So when it comes to cost of quality now, we are I broke them down into conformance and non-conformance. So conformance costs are further analyzed into prevention cost and appraisal cost. So again, so what you need to know right now, conformance cost is divided into prevention cost and appraisal costs. The non-conformance cost is divided into internal failure cost and external failure cost. Great. So what do I mean by prevention cost and the other three costs there? Prevention cost, investment made in machinery, technology, education programs, etc. So as you see from that name, prevention cost, I need to invest, the organization need to invest money to prevent the fall to happen. Yeah, and for example, I need to upgrade the machine. I need to upgrade the software, right? I need to bring robot, for example. I need to train the employees. So as you see, it's all about the prevention. So these costs are to prevent the fault and the failure to happen. And these are really, really important for the business to invest more money there. It's called the prevention cost. Appraisal cost, it's about you ensure the output produced meet the required quality standards. Yes, the organization manufactured the product. It's great. So now it's time to test it, isn't it? Before we release it or they release it to the customers. So it's like any cars, when the automobile company, they produce a car, they tested many times. I mean, I don't know how many miles they drive it before they release it to the customers. So again, when it comes to appraisal cost, it's important when it comes to prevent the failure and prevent the other cost. The non-conformance cost is divided into internal failure cost and external failure cost. When it comes to internal failure cost, again, these costs are rising within the organization, but again, this is before we transfer the ownership from supplier to the purchaser. That's before, right? So now, as an organization, right, they managed to produce the product, they are happy, everything is great. So now, but after that, it happens to be there is internal failure cost there. So it could be anything. For example, reinspection cost. For example, could be inefficiencies in goods inward. For example, it can be anything. It can be anything. Again, the good news about internal failure cost that the product is still within the organization, hasn't been sold yet. So again, this could be, again, more cost involved when it comes to cost of quality. And the last one we talk about is the external failure cost. When it comes to external failure cost, again, this is what now that we transfer, or they transfer the ownership now, the product from the supplier to the purchaser or the customer, the client. This cost comes after you bought the product. So think about it yourself as a customer. You bought a laptop, you bought a mobile phone. If there is a failure with it, what you're gonna do? You're going to return it. So for example, examples of external failure costs: return cost, repairing cost, maintenance cost, warranty cost. So all these costs are classified as external failure cost. But now, if you look here, it's very interesting here. To remain successful in the business and the modern business environment, organization must offer customers a competitive price, high quality product. That's very important. Yeah, remember, yes, we talk about quality. Quality has to be there. Especially you look at the how market is competitive right now. It's crazy. And of course, yes, as a customer, I'm looking at the quality, but also I'm demanding. Yeah, customers becomes more demanding than before. So they are fussy now. They need quality, and also they need what? They need good price. They need a competitive price. Can you see? Can you see the business is struggling right now to provide the best quality and also the good price for the customer. The interesting part here that consideration must be given to the balance between the cost of conformance and the cost of non-conformance. So this is really, really important point you need to look at, guys, here. Okay? That means, right? Logic, yeah, logic. If we invest, or the business, when I say we, I'm saying the business, right? If the business, the organization invest more money in conformance cost, that automatically the non-conformance cost will be lower, isn't it? Can you see what's going on? Yeah? Let me show you. If we invest more money in a prevention cost and appraisal cost, that automatically that the other cost, which is the internal failure cost, the external failure cost will be less. That's logic, isn't it? If we invest more, or we invest less actually in a prevention cost, we didn't invest a lot of money, we didn't invest a lot of money in appraisal cost, that logic automatically, that what the internal failure cost and the external failure cost will be more. So this is called a trade-off. This is a trade-off between the two, conformance and non-conformance cost. So as you see, the higher the expenditure on conformance to ensure the customer receives the high quality products they demand, of course, the lower cost of what? Of non-conformance. So that's exactly the point, guys, and vice versa. And vice versa. So you need to understand this principle now, because when we look at the way we prepare the report, so you need to discuss the answers and what do you think of this answer? What's your recommendation for the business? Let's have a look at this example. Example 1, prepare a cost quality report using the following data. Let's go. Here we go. Just to let you know, preparing a cost of quality report, it's easy, it's really simple, straightforward. You will see. It's we need to classify each under which cost category. So if you look, we have 4 cost categories, isn't it? Prevention cost, appraisal cost, internal failure cost, and external failure cost. And that's exactly what you need to do. And when you read it, so you can know, if you practice 1, 2, 3 questions, easy, you will get it straight away. Anyway, when we prepare the quality, the cost quality report, so as you see, so we need to classify the elements here, the cost under each category. Okay. And after that, what we need to do, we need to take the percentage of sales. So what is the percentage of sales? Okay. So if we start with the prevention cost, so as you see, we've got quality training, quality engineering, and prevention maintenance, preventative maintenance. That's logic, isn't it? When you look at the quality training, so we need to train, that's called prevention cost. Quality engineering, the same. Preventative maintenance, the same. So these things, if you look at it, it's automatically in your head, oh, that's a prevention cost. You just need to add the cost there. 300, 400, 500. Can you see? Total what? 1,200 or 1,200,000. So what is the sales here, guys? If you look at it, is 100 million, 100,000, which is which is in thousands. So this is 100 million, isn't it? 100 million pound. 100 million pound. So what we need to do, we need to take the percentage, which is very simple. Just divide them really. So 1,200 divided 100 million. So that's equal 1.2%. So what does that mean? This means 1.2% of sales, what is classified as what? As a prevention cost. Yeah. You need to do with appraisal cost, the same appraisal. We talk about inspection, quality, testing, stuff like this, isn't it? So if you look at the question, you will see we have inspection, we have testing of equipment, and we have a quality audit. Fair enough. Fair enough. So you need to do the same. 1,100 you divided by the total sales is 1.10%. Okay. Internal failure cost, okay, is something to do after we tested, yeah, but the ownership has not been transferred yet. So such as scrap, yeah, when the product retesting, you need to retest the product, for example, the unit, the rework, for example, you need to rework on some. So these are stuff called internal because it happened internally after the organization finished manufacturing the product. So if you look at the question, we have the scrap 400, retesting 300, and the rework 800. It's 1,500 and 1.5%. Yeah. So the last one is the external failure cost. Now, when it comes to external failure cost here, the product now, the ownership of the product has been transferred to what? To the customer. Now it's within the customer right now. Yeah. So all these costs comes after we sell the product. So such as returns, when they return the product, recalls. There's a lot of them. You see in the news. A lot of businesses after they release the product, they recall it. For example, recently Tesla, they recalled some cars brand. For example, Cadbury, they released one time, I remember they released chocolate eggs. they recall them. So again, these cost a lot of money for the business, and that's one point we need to look at. Also, warranty repairs. Warranty repairs, another one we need to look at. 400, of course, is external. And the complaint, of course, handling customer complaints is another cost. It's external because it comes after. Also, we have the contribution from lost sales. So we've got some contribution. This contribution, or the profit lost from sales, and again, that's considered, classified to be as external sales. Could be for any factor. So if you add them together, that's 1,650. So that's 1.65%. So if you add them all together, so this is 5.45%. So 5.5% is the what we call it, the cost, the percentage of cost, the quality cost from the sales. So the question is, high? Is it high? Is it low? It depends. But for me, looks at 5%, 6%, 7%, whatever, from the sales, total sales, if it goes to quality, sounds reasonable. Let's have a look at example 2. Example 2, it is similar to example 1. So it's absolutely similar. So what we need to do, we need to work it out. The only thing different here, which is when you look at the scrapped, for example, or returned, they didn't give you the whole amount. They give you the number of units returned, for example, or reworked. So what we need to do, we need just to multiply it by the cost per unit, which is return per unit, reworking per unit, scrapping per unit. That's all. Otherwise, it's absolutely the same. So if you look again at number 2 here, you can see that the under prevention cost, we have quality engineering 60. Yeah, that's right. We've got quality engineering. It's under prevention. Under appraisal cost, we have inspection 45,000. Under internal failure, we have scrap and we have the rework. But can you see here, the scrap units scrapped is 10,000 units. But if you multiply it by the cost of scrapping per unit is £15. So that gives you the cost of scrap. And again, what you need to do you need to do for the cost of rework again. For external failure cost, we have here the complaints, we have the cost of recalls, and also we have the rework itself. The complaints, sorry, we have the complaints 30,000. Yeah, recalls at 20,000, and we have the return 200,000. Why return 200,000? As you see, though the number of units returned 10,000 units. If you multiply it by the cost of return per unit is £20. So it's 200,000. So as you see here, it's very interesting, really. As you see that prevention cost, it's 6%. Appraisal cost 4.5%. Internal failure cost 30%, and external failure cost 25%. So overall 65%, almost. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot when 65% of total sales amount goes to quality, cost of quality. It's a lot. But now, if we go back to the balance trade-off, what did I say? If you remember, if we invest less in conformance cost, which is the prevention cost and appraisal cost, the 60 and the 45, if we invest less, so automatically the cost of non-conformance will be high. So as you see, We invested less because it's only 6%, 4.5%, 60, 45. Compare with the internal failure cost is 30% and the external failure cost 25%. So can you see that's automatically, so the cost will be high. So that's why a lot of business they think, okay, I'm not going to do a lot of inspection, I don't do a lot of quality, I'm not going to invest in employees, I'm not going to invest in machinery. So they think they are clever enough, but they don't know that the cost will be will be later in later stage will be much higher than what they think. And that's exactly what we need to do. So your recommendation, of course, when it comes to this, that the business need to look at the scrap, rework and return, because if you look here, scrap, rework and return are the highest here, are the highest. And the way to recommend the business, of course, you need to recommend the business that they need to spend more money on quality engineering, more money inspection, more money on employee training, upgrading machines, etc., etc., etc. And that's the way you need to recommend the business there. So 65%, yeah, is almost high, yeah. But again, that's what your recommendation for the business. So the last example, which is example 3, it's the same example, completely the same. I'm not gonna go through it. The answer is there for you guys. It's absolutely the same. You're just gonna do the report there. And locks, yeah, locks, they have, they need to, if you look again, scrap, rework, handling customer complaint are more, really, there's a lot there. So this is why they need to invest more on other stuff within the conformance cost. That's all to do with total quality management. So I hope it's really you manage to reach to that level to understand what's quality management, total quality management, and how it's applied within the business. Of course, indeed, you need to read more about it, go to the case studies, read more about it, and hopefully you can understand how it works in the practical world. Right. The next one we'll look at just-in-time. Just-in-time system was invented to eliminate the inventory. So the aim of just-in-time, boom, no inventory, right? So when it comes to just-in-time philosophy, we'll look at how to eliminate the waste, because when it comes to the warehouse, you will see a lot of inventories, and this could be a waste because the product could be obsolete. How to involve all the staff and how to continuous improvement. As I said, continuous improvement is involved in just-in-time, involves total quality management. It's applied within other costing techniques, target costing. It's also involved in benchmarking, business process reengineering. When it comes just in time, the point when it comes just in time, that the business will not have inventory in the warehouse, right? They have zero inventory. Once they have the order from the customer, right? Now they connect with the supplier automatically to send them the required units. So again, can you see what's going on? So they have no inventory at all. So when they have order, straight away they connected straight away with the supplier. We have two aspects of just-in-time. We have just-in-time purchasing and production. Purchasing, when the business has no inventory, the aim is to have to zero inventory, so purchasing matches the usage of material with the demand. Just-in-time production, this is now when the business they produce, right? So is the production product and work in progress that matches the demand. So they have to have only what matches the demand within the business to produce only, not extra. As I mentioned, the aim of it to eliminate what we call it the inventory. Why we need to eliminate the inventory? Because when you have eliminate the inventory, you eliminate the waste, because as I mentioned, that the product could be obsolete. Also, you minimize the warehouse storage cost. So any business they have warehouse, huge warehouse, and they try to eliminate the cost involved. They can clear more spaces for other things. For the last 2 points, reduce the amount of raw materials and work in progress, and also as working capital, also reduce the amount of finished goods held as working capital. These 2 points just tell you, if you look at the working capital in financial ratios, we have a ratio called working capital, which is the inventory days plus receivables days minus payables days. So when this percentage is high, or not percentage in days, this is when it's high, this means the capital, the working capital is tied up, isn't it? It's tied up, and mainly due to inventory. So when the business has more inventory, this means the working capital will be tied, the cash will be tied and is not released. So they need to release it and focus on other resources. Of course, the issues has really some issues just in time. I mean, one of them, of course, could be difficult to predict the demand. Yes, as a business, I don't have inventory. I try to eliminate the inventory to be zero. But again, I know my demand because of course I need to look at the last 5 years and predict the demand. But again, not always the demand is predictable. Makes the organization vulnerable to disruption in the supply chain. Exactly. I mean, can you imagine if my demand would be for this month 400,000 units and I have for 500,000 units, what I need to do? I'll be stuck, isn't it? Wide geographical spread makes its operation difficult, especially if the supplier is another, for example, the supplier in China or in India or in another country, and that will take some time for the supplier to send the product to the UK. Again, geographical area is another issue there. And another issue could be the reliability of the supplier. I mean, yes, the business is reliable on the supplier, especially if they have order. But again, can you trust the supplier? They say, okay, 1 day, 2 days, but they might spend, or it takes 5-6 days to reach. But again, that could really damage reputation of the business. So just in time, it's a great technique, but has disadvantages. And it's not simple like that, just in time. When the business when the business goes for just in time and apply it, it's not like simple as this. I mean, it's more complicated as you think, because we have pull system, we have push system. It's a bit more complicated as you think. If you read Toyota case study I uploaded, you should understand how it's applied within the business. Another area we will look at is benchmarking. Benchmarking is setting targets for levels of performance and making comparison with other areas to identify areas that are performing well or underperforming. So it's very simple. benchmarking, how the aim of it to promote the best practice. Yeah, could be internal, could be external. I'll give you one examples. Right, for the business, right, internal could be departments, branches. For example, okay, if you talk about any company, KFC, for example, I like KFC. Myself, I don't like McDonald's, but I like KFC. So when you look at KFC, if you look at the branches in Swansea, so how compares to Cardiff one, for example. Let's spot, for example, if Swansea one is great, good, excellent, the one in Morva, so how compared to the Cardiff one in Queen Street, for example. So this is a benchmark. External could be a competitor. For example, KFC can look at McDonald's, could look at Burger King, and try to make it as a benchmark and get the best practice from there and try to apply it within the business. Could also be as a process or activity. So now when it comes to activity or process, it's within the business itself. Could be an activity, I don't know what could be. For example, let me think about something. Charity, if the business goes percentage to charity, for example. Could be delivery time. I mean, if you look at delivery time, for instance, you look at a lot of business now they are competing for deliveries. And for example, myself, I mean, when I order something through Deliveroo or Uber Eat, I always look at the time involved there, because really important. I mean, it could be one benchmark, look one business, look other business, how they reach the customer within 20 minutes. So they try to be like them and better. Right? Again, that's one thing you need to look at. Right, so let's have a look at this example. Suggest some benchmarks that Swansea University could be measured against other similar universities. Now we talk about Swansea Uni to other universities. There are some benchmarks, like what? So as a student, right? As a student, they finish A-level and they want to go to university, right? So what are aspects that students will look at in order to decide I'm gonna go to uni, Swansea Uni, or I'm going to go to other university? So, for instance, student numbers. Student number could be a reason. Number of courses and variety. For example, I'm interested on this because there is a course there. Also, proportion of students completing their courses. It's very important for students. Make sure that students, a lot of students, they manage to complete their courses. Could be a student gaining first class or 2-1. For example, look at students, they gain full-time job after they completing their course within 6 months period, for example. Yeah, extra curricular activities, the student support service, staff numbers. Again, there's a lot of going on. Maybe I want to add for Swansea University in Bay Campus the beach. Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? That's could be one reason for a student to join the environment here. Yeah, so again, these all benchmark. So a company needs to look at other company as a benchmark and try to promote the best practice. So the potential of benchmarking, I explained them. Potential, of course, the potential to look at areas to improve, to look at the areas how to share the information, how to try to reduce the failure or eliminate the failure. In terms of the introducing the system, again, we need to look at we need to review at the current practice. What is the current practice we've got? We need to establish a new KPI, new key performance indicators. Then we need to look at other external organizations, and then we need to look at the best practice there. So one of the most famous examples when it comes to benchmarking is Toyota. So a lot of businesses, they look at Toyota best practices and they try to do the same. For example, when you talk about Toyota, how they applied target costing, how they applied Kaizen costing, how they applied life cycle costing and other costing techniques. And that's the point here. So it's not about the business will copy what the Toyota is doing, but it's a benchmark that they try to improve and they try to promote the best practices. Okay, and this is the way. After we apply it, we monitor the performance, we design it, monitor it, and try to get the best results. The only way to criticize the benchmarking, the only way that can create a league table, unfortunately, mentally that focus on competition, not improvement. That's the problem. And to be honest with you, let's be honest, now what they're doing right now, all the businesses, yes, they promote the best practices, they want to be the best, but if we be honest, why? It's just because of competition, isn't it? We need to compete, and that's the way. Yeah, if they want to compete, they need to deliver the best customer service. If they need to compete, they want to deliver the best quality. Right. The last thing we will look at today quickly is the business process reengineering. So this is a new radical fundamental thing, a radical of business, radical design business process to achieve a dramatic improvement in performance. When we look at business process reengineering, we focus more on process. We always about the process. So how to focus attention inward in the processes and how to design a new processes. It's all about the processes. So if you look here, so always the aim to improve the process is there. So if you look here, you can see that how it works is. It's all about the process. Business process reengineering. Develop vision and objectives, understanding existing process, identify process for redesign, identify change levers, implement the new process. These new process, make them in operation. You need to evaluate them, and after that you go for continuous improvement. So as you see, it's all about the process, how to improve the process, how to create a new process, how to rid of a previous process, how to evaluate the process, how to improve it. It's all about the process. And the process should achieve the desired outcome, of course. So at the end of the day, of course. We need to look at the output. Indeed, this is the output we will look at. And again, as we mentioned, there is no differentiation between information gathering and information processing. So the aim of this is to look at the process. And also I upload some case studies on business process reengineering, and also some another case study is uploaded there. Please read it, because you need to read it. You need to read these techniques, and also watch videos from YouTube if you can. These will help you to see how it's practiced in the real world when it comes to costing techniques. So that's really important to look at this. So yeah, that's all from me, guys. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. God bless. Thank you. Bye.